MSF must be financially independent to succeed in its work. Its fundraising activities make this independence possible.
Financial independence for MSF means private donors providing most of our funding, therefore reducing the need for institutional and government funding.
Freedom from the constraints of political and financial agendas allows us unrestricted independence of action. In politically sensitive settings, we sometimes have to show our independence in order to get access to victims.
Côte d'Ivoire and Libya are two striking examples. They were both civil conflicts with foreign intervention by Western powers with their own agendas and political and economic demands.
Thanks to its independence, MSF is able to gain acceptance by opposing parties in conflicts and places where it's sometimes the only humanitarian organization.
In 2010, almost 97% of our funding came from private donors. That is to say, mainly from individual donors, and a smaller percentage donated by businesses and foundations.
There are 500,000 private donors in France who enable MSF to provide emergency medical assistance in those places our teams think it necessary.
As soon as an emergency occurs, whether it's a natural disaster, a conflict, or an epidemic requiring rapid intervention by our teams, funds are immediately available.
MSF has set up a weekly donation scheme so that people can make regular donations and ensure the sustainability of its actions.
This is a scheme where people commit to making a modest weekly or monthly donation to help finance our programs.
This confidence placed in MSF by hundreds of thousands of donors requires MSF to be accountable.
Not having to depend on institutional donors demanding exacting and arduous reports doesn't exonerate us from being accountable to our private donors.
Accountability also means informing donors about how their money is being spent, information that must be as close as possible to the reality in the field, sharing not only our successes but also our concerns.
Being close to the reality in the field means also sharing with our donors the issues and the concerns inherent to humanitarian aid, and which involve making choices and negotiating our scope of intervention.
The other commitment MSF makes to its donors is respecting their wishes as to how and where their donations are spent.
This means that, particularly in an emergency situation, but at any other time too, donors may want their donations allocated to a specific mission or country.
When MSF considers that it won't need to spend earmarked donations because the money is no longer required, we commit to reimbursing donors, or we propose to allocate the donations to another project. This is what happened at the end of 2004, after the tsunami that hit Southeast Asia prompted an outpouring of generosity.
We decided to contact personally all our donors who had made a donation specifically for the tsunami emergency to ask them if they would let us reallocate their donation to other less publicised emergencies which also had extensive needs.
The other aspect of fundraising is the quest for new donors.
We have teams travelling around France presenting an exhibition showing the different situations and settings where Médecins Sans Frontières teams are working. They explain why donor support is so crucial.
New technologies are diversifying sources of information available to donors and giving them innovative, hands-on opportunities to express their support for MSF's values.
There are more and more donors who take advantage of sports events, for example, especially running, like the half and full marathon. They take part in sports competitions like these under the MSF banner and get their families and friends to sponsor them.
However the donation is made, every little counts in making sure MSF retains its freedom of action and capacity to speak out.